This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Tuesday, July 1st, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
Can Senate Republicans pass the president's big, beautiful bill after a day-long Vote-A-Rama? I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
2 firefighters were shot and killed and another badly injured responding to a wildfire near Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
They were being shot at.
I'm Jennifer King.
The Trump administration threatening more action against Harvard.
No foreign government contributes money to Harvard. We do.
I'm Clayton Neville.
On Wall Street, a winning first half of the year is in the books for stocks as the second half starts this morning. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
The man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students agrees to a plea deal. The Diddy trial goes to the jury and not without controversy, and a professional sports league announces a major expansion. All ahead on America in the Morning. Senators spent Monday voting on dozens of amendments to President Trump's big, beautiful bill in what is called a Vote-A-Rama ahead of a final vote on its passage. John Stolnis has the latest from Washington.
The voting began at 9 a.m. Eastern time yesterday and continued throughout the night. Senators and staff ordering pizza during the marathon voting session. Democratic-led amendments have no chance of passing, but provide an opportunity for them to air their grievances against the bill. Meanwhile, there are amendments Republicans want added as well. Negotiations on what will be in the final package continued to evolve throughout the day and night. Democratic Senator Mark Kelly says he and his colleagues are trying to show the American people how damaging and unfair the bill is.
We're literally going to take money from people that don't have it, that's used to pay a doctor or a hospital when they're sick, and that money is going to be transferred to the richest people in our country. And that's wrong.
One change is a pared-back measure that would strip Medicaid funding from Planned Parenthood from 10 years to just 1 year, after the Senate parliamentarian said the original language violated budget procedural rules. Still, Republican senators like Roger Marshall remain confident.
I think we cannot let this moment pass to have the largest tax savings in American history. The average American family back home is going to save $1,000 a month. When this bill passes, we're going to secure the border. Look, this is President Trump's legacy.
Republican Senator Eric Schmidt says the American people are with them, not the Democrats.
They want tax relief. They want border security. They want to make sure that we're deporting illegal immigrants. They want our military to be strong, and that's what this bill does.
The White House and the president continue to stay on the phones, talking with Republican senators who have concerns over Medicaid cuts and the long-term effect the bill could have on the deficit. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says Republicans need to do the right thing.
Republicans need to stay tough and unified during the home stretch, and we are counting on them to get the job done. Even
after the Vote-A-Rama, final passage of the big, beautiful bill is uncertain. With Rand Paul and Tom Tillis 2 no votes, the GOP can afford only one more defection for the bill to pass. The goal is to get the bill to President Trump's desk by the 4th of July, which would also require House Speaker Mike Johnson to work with moderate Republicans to get their support and finalize the bill. John Stolnis, Washington.
2 firefighters and a gunman are dead after the suspect apparently started a brush fire. Then he began shooting at the first responders as they arrived to put out the flames. Correspondent Jennifer King reports more details are emerging about both the firefighters killed and the suspected sniper.
The fire thing, it's always the thing in the back of your mind. But I said, it kind of all changed when we find out that there's somebody up there shooting people. Who does this kind of stuff? And the answer was, and easy, a coward.
2 firefighters were shot and killed and another badly injured responding to a wildfire near Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, Sunday afternoon.
They were being shot at on Canfield Mountain.
Kootenai County Sheriff Bob Norris.
We do believe that the suspect started the fire, and we do believe that it was an ambush and it was intentional.
After initial confusion and a massive police response, a shelter-in-place order was lifted. Law enforcement used cell phone data to hone in on a wooded area.
We honed in on that cell phone, and we saw that there was a male, appeared to be deceased, with a weapon nearby. So we have currently 1 dead shooter.
Norris says authorities had to scoop up the suspect's body before it was engulfed in flames. A procession accompanied the fallen firefighters as their bodies were taken from the hospital to the medical examiner's office in nearby Spokane.
We did lose a Coeur d'Alene firefighter, and we did lose a firefighter from the Cooney County Fire and Rescue.
Audio courtesy KXLY. I'm Jennifer King.
Authorities identified the alleged suspect as 20-year-old Wes Rowley. His body was found near a weapon that police say belonged to him. Rowley's grandfather told the New York Times his grandson had expressed interest in becoming a firefighter. CNN is reporting that Rowley grew up in Arizona, but police were not clear as to how he wound up in Idaho. The brush fire Rowley's alleged to have started consumed 26 acres. Among the stories we're covering next, plea deal for a murder suspect, Trump-Harvard feud continues. When America in the Morning returns after these messages. America in the Morning continues with today's national forecast. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Welcome to July and all the warmth that it provides. We do have a frontal system moving eastward, and that's going to continue to produce showers and thunderstorms today from as far north as New England and northern New York, and then westward through a good part of the Ohio and Tennessee valleys, and then also through the Mid-Atlantic into the southeast from eastern Louisiana into Florida. The heaviest of these storms will generally be east of the Appalachian Mountains from southeast New York and continuing into North Carolina. These storms will have the potential for very heavy rain, damaging winds, and hail. Additional storms will continue across Virginia and North Carolina into tonight with heavy downpours. More thunderstorms will also be firing up over portions of West Texas today into eastern New Mexico. These storms will have the potential to produce localized flash flooding, and the clouds in the area will also keep temperatures in the upper 70s and low 80s, which is nearly 15 degrees below the historical average. This is one of the few areas where there will be general relief from the July heat. Scattered afternoon thunderstorms will also form over the west in the higher elevations from the Four Corners of the northeast Arizona into eastern Utah and Colorado, while also extending into Wyoming. And there could be a gusty thunderstorm possible over the northern Sierra Nevada and California and continuing into southern Oregon. The rest of the west will be largely dry with plenty of sunshine. It'll be quite hot over interior areas with highs in the 100s as far north as central Washington and back into the 100 teens in the desert southwest. That's the weather across America. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina will have some mixing with clouds today and a steamy afternoon. Look for a thunderstorm late in the day with a high of 86. Bismarck, North Dakota will be hot today with sunshine and a high near 90. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. The man charged with the 2022 stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students has agreed to a plea deal and also waived his right to appeal the decision. Correspondent Lisa Dwyer reports.
Brian Kohberger has agreed to plead guilty to murdering 4 University of Idaho students as part of a deal with prosecutors to avoid the death penalty. The now 30-year-old Kohberger is accused of stabbing the 4 students at a rental home near campus in November 2022. Kohberger, then a criminal justice graduate student at Washington State University, was arrested in Pennsylvania weeks after the killings. Autopsies show that the 4 were all likely asleep when they were attacked. Some had defensive wounds, and each was stabbed multiple times. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Airports up and down the East Coast saw many flight delays yesterday. Passengers were stranded from New York to Washington, D.C., mainly due to weather. Departure delays were averaging about 90 minutes. As we approach the holiday weekend, some of the issues the airlines are facing are being blamed on staffing shortages. The Trump administration is threatening to take away more money from Harvard University. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
The Trump administration continues its crackdown on anti-Semitism on American college campuses. It's taken grant money away from Harvard already because of ways the university has handled pro-Palestinian demonstrations on campus. President Trump has been outspoken about the number of foreigners who attend Harvard.
Because we have Americans that want to go there and to other places, and they can't go there because you have 31% foreign. Now, No foreign government contributes money to Harvard. We do.
This week, the Trump administration is threatening all of Harvard's federal funding after it said it found the university to be in violent violation of the Civil Rights Act. A letter was reportedly sent to Harvard's president, Alan Garber, that said a federal investigation found the school is in violation of Title VI, which prohibits discrimination based on color or national origin and race. The university issued a statement saying it disagrees with the government's findings, and administrators believe the school has made significant strides to combat bigotry and bias. I'm Clayton Neville.
Several states are instituting a new minimum wage today. When America in the Morning returns, we'll let you know where workers are pocketing more cash after these messages. You're with America in the Morning. CNBC's Jessica Ettinger has a look at Tuesday business headlines. Jessica?
Wall Street opens this morning for the first day of July trading, the first day of the third quarter, and it's the start of the second half of the year. Stocks closed out the final day of June with a win yesterday. Major averages all up about 0.5% for the year so far. The Dow is up 3%. The S&P 500 index and the NASDAQ are each up 5%.
Now we start July here, which is seasonally still very good. And in particular, the last decade, every July has been positive. Seasonality is influenced by the trend in the market. And the second half of the year tends to be strong when you enter it in an uptrend. So that's the setup here. I'm not saying we can't have a consolidation or a pause sometime August, September. That would not be unusual.
Strategas market strategist Chris Verrone on CNBC. And here's another outlook from CNBC's Frank Holland and JP Morgan's Joyce Chang.
You have slower growth coming, and we think higher inflation, but there's been very steady retail demand and buybacks. So the technicals could still squeeze this higher, but we're on a stagflationary tilt here. So I would just be careful on calling for a much higher market here.
I had to just check. You said 6,000. So you see the market pulling back quite significantly in the back half of the year.
It could. I think you will get the slowdown. Now, we've had a lot of front loading, a U.S. import surge, but we're still looking at an effective tariff rate that's 14%. That's a $400 billion tax.
More Americans are having trouble making their mortgage payments.
In May, a significant jump in the early stage category of mortgage delinquencies. That's your 30 to 59 days past due. And this according to a new report from VantageScore, an early indication of financial stress among borrowers. What's more concerning is that these delinquencies were led by borrowers in the near prime, prime, and super prime segments. That is the least risky borrowers with the highest credit scores.
CNBC's Diana Olick. New minimum wages taking effect today in Alaska, which hits $13 an hour. California, for some jobs, has an increase. Oregon goes up to $15.05 an hour. It's a little higher in Portland. And Florida's minimum wage goes up to $14 an hour today. On today's watch list, it's No Buy July, a social media trend to get people to rein in their spending and pay off debt at the halfway point of the year.
Good luck. CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. When our program returns, music mogul trial hits snag and major sports franchise expansion when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Jury deliberations had barely begun at Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking trial in New York City before they quickly hit a snag. Correspondent Julie Walker explains.
Barely an hour into jury deliberations at Sean Diddy Combs' federal sex trafficking trial, the foreperson alerting the court that another juror was having trouble following the judge's instructions, prompting the judge to remind jurors in a note that they must follow what he said. Monday morning, the judge gave the jury of 8 men and 4 women more than 2 hours of legal instructions before they began deliberating. Combs's family and supporters were in the courtroom, all bowed their heads in prayer, holding hands. As they finished, they applauded and then eventually left. Combs has pleaded not guilty to federal charges of racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution, charges that could put him behind bars for life. Julie Walker, New York.
Thanks to the popularity of players like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, along with more television coverage and sold-out arenas for their games, as well as a rising popularity in the college ranks, women's professional basketball announced they'll be adding new teams in 3 significant markets. Correspondent Gethin Coolbaugh reports.
The WNBA is expanding to 18 teams over the next 5 years, with Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia all set to join the league by 2030. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert.
It's a transformational investment in the future of women's sports.
Cleveland will begin play in 2028, Detroit in 2029, and Philadelphia the season after, assuming they get approval from the NBA and WNBA Board of Governors.
The WNBA is building on a wave of momentum that is only growing stronger.
Toronto and Portland will enter the league next year. All 3 of the new teams that were announced Monday have NBA ownership groups, each paid a $250 million expansion fee. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
Civil War history buffs will know this date in 1863 that the Battle of Gettysburg began. America in the Morning for Tuesday, July 1st, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
The president to be on hand for the unveiling of Alligator Alcatraz. I'm Clayton Neville.
The Justice Department uncovering nearly $15 billion in false government health care claims. I'm Julie Walker.
The White House goes to court to try to end Los Angeles as a sanctuary city.
We need them to not get in our way.
I'm Richard Johnson.
A wash of James Bond news has opened up over the past week. I'm Kevin Carr.
Update to that anti-Semitic attack in Colorado. Kilmar Abrego Garcia's lawyers tell the judge to keep their client behind bars. And a punk rap band barred from entering the U.S. We'll tell you why. We're back after these messages. America in the Morning, turning the page on a new month and today's weather. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy with the forecast.
We are in July and we'll have thunderstorms firing up over portions of West Texas into New Mexico today. These storms will have the potential to produce localized flash flooding. The clouds in the area will also keep temperatures in the upper 70s and low 80s, which is about 15 degrees below the historical average. This is one of the few areas where there'll be general relief from the July heat. Scattered after thunderstorms will also form a little farther to the west in the higher elevations of the Four Corners from northeast Arizona into eastern Utah and Colorado, while also extending into Wyoming. A gusty thunderstorm or 2 is also possible over the northern Sierra Nevada in California and southern Oregon. And then the rest of the west will be largely dry with plenty of sunshine today. It will be quite hot over the interior areas with highs in the 100s as far north as central Washington and back into the 100 and teens in the desert southwest, where places like Phoenix, Arizona will look to break a record for a second day in a row. Meanwhile, we have a frontal system moving eastward that will continue to produce showers and thunderstorms from far northern New England and northern New York, and as far west as a good portion of the Ohio and Tennessee valleys, through the middle Atlantic and the southeast, from eastern Louisiana into Florida. And the heaviest of these storms will generally be east of the Appalachian Mountains from southeast New York and continuing to North Carolina. The storms will have the potential for very heavy rain, damaging winds and hail, and look for additional drenching thunderstorms into tonight across Virginia and North Carolina. The Central Plains and well as the Western Great Lakes will be quieter today with sunshine and a generally lower humidity, but it is still going to be hot, especially in the Western Dakotas, where highs will reach into the 90s. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. President Trump will travel to South Florida and take part in the unveiling of Alligator Alcatraz, a new migrant detention facility in the Sunshine State. Correspondent Clayton Neville has details.
The Department of Homeland Security teased this week's event in the Everglades with a photoshopped image on social media of alligators wearing ball caps with ice printed on the front of them. It's a concept and a reptile that's scary to some. The late Steve Irwin often described the creatures as crikey. Today, President Trump plans to visit the new immigration detention center in South Florida that state officials are calling Alligator Alcatraz. The state's governor, Ron DeSantis.
They ain't going anywhere once they're there unless you want them to go somewhere, because good luck getting the civilization. So the security is amazing. But what natural and otherwise.
The facility's at the Dade Collier Training and Transition Airport in the Florida Everglades and has its own runway.
There's only one road leading in, and the only way out is a one-way flight.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
It is isolated and surrounded by dangerous wildlife and unforgiving terrain. The facility will have up to 5,000 beds to house, process, and deport criminal illegal aliens. This is an efficient and low-cost way to help carry out the largest mass deportation campaign in American history.
Governor DeSantis says that he's spoken with the president about the visit.
Very excited about doing it. But I think what he wants to see is, Florida should not be the only one in this fight, right? I mean, we literally are doing what the voters who elected all of us have been demanding for many, many years.
President Trump will be joined by Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and Republican Congressman Byron Donalds of Florida. Environmental groups recently filed a lawsuit to block the opening of the facility until it undergoes an environmental review, as is required by federal law. I'm Clayton Neville.
The Department of Justice announces more than 300 people have been charged in a massive multi-billion-dollar healthcare fraud scheme takedown. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
The Justice Department uncovering nearly $15 billion in false government healthcare claims through an international scheme operating out of Russia and other countries and involving stolen U.S. identities.
We are announcing today charges against 324 defendants for their alleged participation in healthcare fraud schemes involving approximately $14.6 billion in false claims submitted to Medicare, Medicaid, and other healthcare programs.
Dr. Mehmet Oz, who heads Medicare and Medicaid, says it's the largest DOJ healthcare fraud takedown in history.
The fact that it's even possible that you could have $15 billion to play in this endeavor is shameful. But that's how we're being attacked now, and it's not done by small-time operators.
$14.6 billion were the intended losses. $2.9 billion was the actual loss, says the DOJ's Matthew Gagliotti.
Let me be clear about what these healthcare fraud schemes mean for every hardworking American family. These criminals didn't just steal someone else's money. They stole from you. Every fraudulent claim, every fake billing, every kickback scheme represents money taken directly from the pockets of American taxpayers who fund these essential programs through their hard work and sacrifice.
More than 320 people were charged in the scheme. Law enforcement seized more than $245 million in cash, luxury vehicles, cryptocurrency, and other assets.
When criminals defraud these programs, they're not just committing theft. They're driving up our national deficit and threatening the long-term viability of health care for seniors, disabled Americans, and our most vulnerable citizens.
I'm Julie Walker.
President Trump continues to fulfill his promise to deport millions of people in the U.S. illegally. Now, the Justice Department is getting involved with a new lawsuit aimed at one city in particular. Correspondent Rich Johnson files this.
The Justice Department is suing the city of Los Angeles, Mayor Karen Bass, and the L.A. City Council, saying its sanctuary city policies are unconstitutional. And
we need them to not get in our way.
The U.S. Attorney for Los Angeles, Bill Asaley, says the Constitution's Supremacy Clause prohibits the city from picking and choosing which federal laws to enforce. The suit asks the federal district court to declare L.A.'s policies unlawful, unenforceable, and void. Asaley also says the feds need what LA has to help with immigration sweeps.
We need to be able to access information that they have in their possession, and we need to be able to get into these government spaces.
The comments by Asaley, courtesy of KABC in Los Angeles. Attorney General Pam Bondi's written statement blames LA and other cities that, in her words, flout federal law by prioritizing illegal aliens over American citizens. But the dean of the law school at the University of California in Berkeley, Erwin Chemerinsky, says the suit appears to be more about politics than policy.
Legally, this is a very weak lawsuit because the federal government can't force the city to use its resources for federal immigration enforcement purposes.
The comments by Asaley and Chemerinsky, courtesy of KABC in Los Angeles. Meanwhile, the LA Police Department has issued new guidelines to officers who are dispatched to immigration roundups. It tells officers to try to keep the peace, try to verify the identities of people making arrests, and to document it all on their body cameras if the federal agents don't cooperate. I'm Rich Johnson.
Among the stories we're covering next, U.S. cyber attacks, pro-Iranian hackers suspected. That and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Elon Musk is threatening to go after the Republican Party if Congress passes President Trump's big, beautiful bill. The country's biggest GOP donor called for the formation of a new political party and suggested he would back primary challengers against nearly every single Republican in Congress. Musk posted on X, quote, "If this insane spending bill passes, the American Party will be formed the next day. Our country needs an alternative to the Democrat-Republican uniparty so that the people actually have a voice," end quote. An elderly victim of the Boulder, Colorado anti-Semitic firebombing attack has died of her injuries. Correspondent Lisa Dwyer reports.
An 82-year-old Colorado woman who was injured in a Molotov cocktail attack on a group of people demonstrating in support of Israeli hostages in Gaza has died. Authorities say that Karen Diamond died as a result of the injuries she suffered in the June 1st attack in Boulder, Colorado. Mohammed Sabri Solomon faces dozens of charges. Those charges now include first-degree murder. Prosecutors say Solomon threw Molotov cocktails while yelling "Free Palestine," injuring a dozen people and a dog. Solomon is facing over 100 years in prison if convicted. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
A bankruptcy judge has approved the sale of the insolvent genetics firm 23andMe to a nonprofit run by one of the company's co-founders. Selling price $305 million. Previously, more than 24 states had sued in federal court to halt the deal, citing concerns of confidentiality over genetic information. The head of the CIA gave congressional testimony saying Iran's nuclear capabilities have been degraded for years to come. Details from Correspondent Jennifer King.
CIA Director John Ratcliffe, at a classified hearing last week, told skeptical lawmakers that U.S. military strikes delivered a major setback to Tehran's nuclear program. Ratcliffe says the intelligence assessment is that the majority of Iran's enriched uranium is likely buried under the rubble. That's according to a U.S. official who also said even if the uranium remains intact, the loss of Iran's facility at Isfahan that converts enriched uranium gas into dense metal has effectively taken away their ability to build a bomb for years to come.
The war was a tremendous, look, we were talking about this for 30 years, about Iran being nuclear. And all I said is it will not be nuclear, and it's not going to be nuclear. Let me say that I've been saying for 25 years, even as a civilian, you cannot let them have a nuclear weapon.
That meshes with statements by Israeli officials and President Trump, who over the weekend told Fox News the strikes meant an end to Iran's nuclear ambitions, at least for a period of time. Meanwhile, Rafael Grossi, head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, says the damage was severe but not total. Grossi says assessing the full damage comes down to Iran allowing in inspectors. Jennifer King, Washington.
A federal judge again delays the release of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, this time over concerns from his own lawyers that he could be deported if he's released to await his trial on human smuggling charges. A Justice Department official tells the AP they plan on trying Abrego Garcia for human smuggling before moving to deport him. The Department of Homeland Security is warning that pro-Iranian hackers might be attempting cyber attacks on U.S. infrastructure in retaliation for last month's bombings. Chuck Palm has details in today's Tech Report.
According to reports from the Times-Union, the ceasefire between Iran and Israel has not slowed down the Iran-aligned hackers who are hitting U.S. targets following the American airstrikes on the Iranian targets last month. The FBI and DHS are warning groups like Cyber Avengers are linked to Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps and are currently ramping up attacks on U.S. banks, defense contractors, and oil companies. The hackers have been deploying wiper malware, ransomware, phishing scams, and denial-of-service attacks, with the goal of disrupting critical infrastructure. A June 22nd NextGov report noted that the Iran-linked actors are retaliating for the U.S. air bombings of the nuclear sites. A DHS 2025 Homeland Threat Assessment said that hacktivists have been running low-level but persistent campaigns since October of 2023. With one post online calling it a parallel wave of cyber retaliation. Bitcoin trading flat at 100,007 and Ethereum at 2,511. For more, find me at chuckpalm.com.
President Trump signs a memorandum imposing a hardline U.S. policy toward communist-run Cuba, reversing measures put in place by former President Biden. The directive enforces a statutory ban on U.S. tourism to Cuba, while supporting the economic embargo of the country. Let's get a check of Tuesday sports now. Here's America in the Morning's Robert Workman.
Baseball Monday, Andrew Heaney took a no-hitter into the sixth inning as the Pirates blanked the Cardinals 7-0.
Just better, just felt like the ball was going in the direction that I was trying to get it to go to, right? It makes it a little bit easier to work sides of the plate. Everything's a little bit more through the zone.
A combo four-hitter in all, backed up by a 6-run fifth. Spencer Horwitz homered and drove in 3. Phillies shut out the Padres 4-0 behind Zach Wheeler's 8 innings and 10 strikeouts. Orioles outlasted the Rangers 10-6 in 11 innings. Gunnar Henderson hit a 2-run homer in the 10th, but when Adolis Garcia went deep to tie it for Texas, Henderson came through with a 2-run double in the 11th to cap a 4-run rally. Red Sox roughed up the Reds 13-6. Wilyer Abreu hit an inside-the-park home run in the 5th, then belted a grand slam in the 8th. He's the 6th player ever to do both in the same game. A's got a tie-breaking 2-run triple in the 9th from Lawrence Butler to deflect the Rays 6-4.
I was just trying to put the ball somewhere in the outfield, get a sac fly or, just a run score or something. I wasn't trying to get a hit. I was just trying to, bring the run in, however that may be.
Mariners harpooned the Royals 6-2. Cal Raleigh hit his league-leading 33rd home run. Blue Jays shaded the Yankees 5-4, and the Diamondbacks topped the Giants 4-2. Wimbledon, two-time defending champion and number 2 seed Carlos Alcaraz needed 5 sets and nearly 5 hours to put away veteran Fabio Fognini in a first-round match. The other big news on the men's side, the serve of Giovanni Mpeci Pericard. 153 miles per hour against Taylor Fritz, the fastest ever recorded at the All England Club. The match had to be halted by curfew after 4 sets, so they'll finish that one up this morning. Women's top seed Arina Sabalenka breezed into the second round. That's Tuesday Sports.
When we return on America in the Morning, meet the new Bond, James Bond, after these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. Despite declines over a number of years, 12 new priests were ordained just outside the nation's capital, Walter Ratliff reports.
The Diocese of Arlington, Virginia recently ordained 12 seminarians, the second largest class of new priests in the diocese's 50-year history.
I've been waiting for this.
Reverend Ricky Malebranche is among them. He says he's eager to begin the work of a priest.
It's like you've been almost held back for a year from serving the people as much as you want. And now the Lord is like, I want you to bless. I want you to celebrate Mass. I want you to hear confession. Go.
He and the 11 others in his class entered the priesthood at an exciting time, since the first American pope recently began his papacy. At the same time, there remains a shortage of clergy like them in the United States. The number of Catholic priests have been declining since the 1970s. I'm Walter Ratliff.
The U.S. State Department has rescinded the travel visa for a UK-based rap punk band from entering the United States. Visas for Bob Vylan and his group of the same name were revoked after the band, which was a headline act at the British Glastonbury Music Festival, reportedly led the crowd in a chant promoting Palestine with the term "from the river to the sea," while also wishing death upon Israeli soldiers. The British television network BBC later released an apology as they were broadcasting the event. The band was scheduled to kick off a U.S. tour. The James Bond franchise gets a reboot as well as a new 007. Kevin Carr reports.
This past week, Amazon MGM announced that Dune director Denis Villeneuve will tackle the next James Bond film. The studio's rebooting the franchise from the character's beginning, so they're seeking actors under the age of 30, which takes fan favorites like 52-year-old Idris Elba and 38-year-old Henry Golding out of the running. This might be a relief for Golding, who this weekend told People that the role of Bond is, quote, every actor's kind of nightmare. Variety reports the shortlist includes Jacob Elordi, who played Elvis in Priscilla.
Just give me a few weeks to get into this movie, and then, I don't know, maybe you can come out for a while.
Harris Dickinson from Baby Girl.
You think I don't like power?
No, I think you like to be told what to do.
And Spider-Man's Tom Holland.
So my girlfriend's just gonna forget about everything we've been through? I mean, is she even gonna be my girlfriend?
That depends. Was she your girlfriend just because you're Spider-Man?
New Bonds are all the rage, it seems, as IO Interactive's upcoming game 007 First Light will feature a Bond not based on a film actor.
Tell me, what do you do, James?
Lately, headhunting.
A new standalone Bond is quite rare. It happened in the game 007 Agent Under Fire in 2001, as well as the original appearance of Barry Nelson as the legendary spy in the TV version of Casino Royale in 1954.
I'm no hero. I don't like pain. But I can tell you one thing right now. You won't get anything out of me.
Fan reaction has been strong for Villeneuve, but lukewarm at best for the actors. But look on the bright side. At least it's not Timothée Chalamet. I'm Kevin Carr.
America in the Morning for Tuesday, July 1st, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.